Hi, I'm Matthew Wooler, and I'm doing my presentation on food as medicine, kind of in general. So let's get right into the background of food as medicine. So around 400 BC, Hippocrates was stated as saying, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food," which is kind of an advanced line of thinking for that time, because the general line of thinking was less scientific because they'd done less research and they knew less then, and most people believed that food had special powers that could heal them after they had been sick. But that's more of like not based on scientific research or anything. For example, they believed in like the four humors and that food could like help replace bile and different things like that, which are just not true. An example from Janine Dart, who wrote an article about the history of food as medicine, stated that King Edward VI, when he was dying of tuberculosis as a young child, was given a variety of different foods, not really based on anything scientific, but it included raw pig's meat from uh, a young pig, which is raw meat, which doesn't make really any sense for healing properties, but back then they believed that it had special powers. So nowadays, what we believe is kind of more advanced and backed up by science. And like the Western cultures nowadays, we are more into like reactive medicine, which is kind of treating a sickness instead of preventing it. So we use like synthetic drugs that we have made as humans um, to help treat instead of prevent diseases. The problem with this and why it's not a good solution to health issues is because, first off, is way more expensive than what I call proactive or preventative medicine. So for easily preventable diseases such as diagnosed diabetes, the cost of diagnosed diabetes actually in 2012 was estimated at 245 billion by health.gov, which is kind of ridiculous because type 2 diabetes is really easily preventable and it shouldn't cost that much to treat it if you shouldn't have the disease in the first place. Another reason that reactive medicine isn't really ideal is that it allows people to go through the chronic illnesses and to suffer from it, which is can be uncomfortable and it can affect their lives. So, what an ideal solution to health problems today would be proactive health or preventing a disease before you have it. So, some things you can do to prevent a disease before you have it is like lifestyle, like diet and exercise. This idea of thinking, this line of thinking is more common in other cultures such as like China, kind of in Asia, where they think of preventing disease before even having it and more like natural kind of things instead of like synthetic drugs and treating the problem. So food and diet is one of the main factors you can take or under your control to have to prevent a lot of these diseases. So we'll take a look at how food can affect our health. So, for example, osteoporosis happens as people get older, and it's normal for our bodies to release minerals into circulation. It's like a natural process for our bodies. But osteoporosis happens when the rate of our mineral ingestion for bones is less than minerals being released into our bloodstream, which causes our bones to weaken, which can lead to easier breaking of bones or osteoporosis. So if we just would ingest more minerals in our diet, more than would come out of our systems regularly, then we could prevent this disease instead of having to treat it with different drugs, and it costs more and it's painful when you break bones, and it's really inconvenient. So it can easily be prevented by just ingesting more minerals for our bones. And according to health.gov, 30% of cancers could have been prevented by modification of dietary habits. So that's a really large number of cancers, which might not seem related to food, but it in fact actually is. And these cancers could have been prevented by changes in your diet. Another disease that is kind of common and easily prevented is type 2 diabetes, as I mentioned before. Um, is you can just eat less sugar and simple starches that um, decrease your insulin sensitivity and lead to type 2 diabetes. It's really easily preventable, but we spend a lot on it, even though we don't really need to if people just change their diet more to prevent the disease. So I want to talk about cancer nutrition. So a more specific example that might not seem related to food. The European Perspective Investigation into Cancer Nutrition did a study where they took 500,000 different individuals and they gave them more fruits and vegetables in a control group, and they observed the um, like which group had more chances of getting cancer, and they found that the group that was fed more vegetables and more fruits combined showed a trend that they had less chance for cancer than the control group. So the selenium, carotenoids and vitamin C, all those minerals and nutrients in the and vitamins in the fruits and vegetables seem to help reduce the risk of cancer. So an explanation for this could be that they help to trap free radicals, and they prevent DNA damage overall, which is contributing to cancer. So it's really interesting that if we just, ingest more of or not protein, vegetables and fruits, that we could help reduce our risk of cancer. And it's a and so 30% of cancer is shown to be prevented by diet. So if we just like changed our diets a little bit, then probably 30% of cancer could be prevented, which is a big deal. So, in conclusion, there's clear evidence that what we eat can actually help to prevent certain diseases such as cancer and type 2 diabetes, obviously. And it's also obvious that it is easier to prevent a disease rather than to treat it. Things like cost of the disease and just overall having to go through it is really inconvenient. So, yeah, that's my presentation. Here's my works cited page. Thank you.